Welcome to Creative Tien channel. Today we want to make a punch card pattern. From the pattern design to knitting a sample on my Brother 260 knitting machine. And I also have a free download of this pattern. You can check the link in the description box. And you can punch your pattern or modify it to make your own design. I start with some hand sketch to get some idea. And I go online to find the chart making software. There are a lot of apps available. For the basic usage of just making charts, most of them are free. So I use this one called Chart Minder. It makes the design very easy. You can also use the old-fashioned way and use a knitting graph paper and sketch by hand. Remember, the knitting stitch is not a true square. It's more of a rectangle that's flattened. So you have to consider that when you design the chart. So I make my pattern 24 stitches wide and 50 rows long. Most knitting machine punch cards are 24 stitches. So the 24 is like a standard stitch number. And the length, you can decide how long you want. But if you want a continuous pattern, you should make sure it will be long enough so you can fold it back in a tube and connect both ends. If it's too short, it will be difficult to connect the ends and make it into a tube. Here is the design I printed out. The next thing, I have to transfer it to a blank punch card. And you can buy the blank punch card on eBay easily, and also the punching machine. I also got this from eBay. It's pretty cheap because it's all secondhand. There are two basic type of punch cards, one for brother and one for singer. The major difference is the beginning row. Even though it marked 1 here with a stronger line, for the brother machine, it's actually 7 rows down. That's the start of the pattern. And for the singer or studio machine, it's 5 rows down. So when you buy the cards, make sure it fits your machine. If not, you can still make it work, but the row count will be slightly different. So now I'm going to transfer the pattern to my blank punch card. I'm just using the color pencil and mark the area I want to punch out. This can be a little tedious. You just have to do row by row. But once you start it, you can see the whole pattern and then you can follow the pattern. So that's what I'm going to do now. Now I finished marking the whole pattern with color pencil. Next, we want to decide where to punch the 2 lines like that for continuous knitting. Originally, for the last row, I have it just one color, but I think it will be better if there's a continuous line carry over. So I add a dot. Actually, it's supposed to be a small line or 2 dots. 1 dot on this side, 1 dot on the first row, and also a little dot here and a little dot here. So it's easier to see now when we fold it over. We know this dot and this dot has to connect. So it'll be like that. For the first 2 punched rows, here it's actually for some row 42 and 43. So on the other end, we want to punch 44 and 45. So it's a little bit offset. So this is row 42, 43, and then 44, 45, 46, 47. Just ignore the numbers here because we are going to cut out the extra after the 2 rows punched. The next step is very simple. We have our punch machine. And we will just punch out the area we just colored. You can punch from right or left, but the maximum is 12 stitch. you can only go to the center. And if you want to punch left side, you have to go from this side. And there's also a center that's like a needle. And when we look at the pattern, there are small dots in the middle. So we align that dot with the needle. We can try to press down halfway. And you can see it will be lined up in the center and just punch. So this will take a while to punch the whole card. It might seem tedious, but once you punch a card, you can use it for a long time. You can knit up the same pattern very quickly. And if you make a mistake, just use a little piece of clear tape and you can tape it in the back and then punch again. Now we punch out all the holes. I punch out the last 2 rows and cut off extra. So when we connect, it will be continuous pattern. The first 2 rows and the last 2 rows are offset. And we can just click those 2 holes at the end. Now we'll try it on the machine. I start by knitting a few rows of plain stitches with the background color. And I place the punch card to the reader. And here is my clip. So you can see the pattern is pretty continuous, seamless. And we can set it back to first row. We set it to the first row on my brother machine, and I can set it to hold. That's a circle here in the bottom. After knitting a few rows, we place the carriage on the left side. And then we can start setting the dial to KC. So we will start engaging the punch card. Now we just knit 1 row by moving the carriage from left to the right. You can see the stitches are selected. Next, we have to set up our cam. Here is the MC button, the top of the center 2 buttons. We press it in, and then we can move the punch card to the triangle in the center to start knitting. And next, we have to set our second yarn. I just run it through the left side of the tension rod and then place it in the carriage. The A position is in the back. We can close it. And if we just slide the yarn in, that's the B position for the second color. And now I have to hold the second color with my left hand and then start knitting. And then we'll just keep going back and forth. After you are finished with the pattern or knit the length you like, you can cut off the second yarn and just cancel all the buttons and knit a few rows of plain stitch. The KC can go back to N and the MC button is cancelled. And you can also set up the punch card to hold. That's the circle in the button. And we'll just bind off loosely and take it off the machine. So here's my final knitting. I need 30 stitches and my chart is only 24 stitches. So I intentionally need a few more stitches. Most of them turn out pretty good. You can see I messed up here. I have one extra stitch here because I forgot to punch one dot here between the eyes. So it looks like there's one extra dot here. And on the top you can see in my pattern there's a heart on the top. And I just continue knitting a few more rows and the pattern is still continuous. And the little lines with the two dots, it actually looks like a fire. So it's kind of interesting. In the back side, there are some long floats. You can use a crochet hook and kind of chain it up. Or when you are designing, you can add more of the little dots or a little lines or some small designs to reduce the float. So I hope you like this video, and remember you can download a free PDF pattern. Even if you hand knit, you can just use part of pattern and repeat it. Thank you for watching today and see you in the next video.